Hi there, welcome to this video where we look at granting permissions in Kentico. We will be looking at Kentico's Xperience product, which is a digital experience platform. My name is Clint D'Souza. I'm a software developer by profession, and I've been working with Kentico applications for a while now. And I thought, let me just make a quick video to really focus on one objective, which is really providing access or really unlocking features for someone else. Um, in this video, we will look at a few scenarios that might come your way, and by your I mean the developers, right? So the target audience for this video, if you have not already guessed it yet, is the developer or the support developer or anyone who has really administrative access to Kentico. So if this is the content author that's requesting access, and if it's a valid access that the person is requesting for, then this is something that you can this video is something that you can take away some things from and provide access or permissions to that particular user. So the first requirement is that the content editors need to add headings in the what you see is what you get editor, and they're not able to do so, and that's what they're requesting for. And so just to demo this, what it really means is, if I click on the home page and click on any of the content, you can see, you would have seen that there was a paragraph thing before, but of course it was cached. What the content editors really see is just this really toolbar, right? So they can't actually see headings, or they can't actually edit any headings over here. They can't add that. They can make things bold, but that really doesn't do the trick. Of course, this place you wouldn't really want to add a heading, but this is just a sample scenario. Now to do this, to work on this request, you would go to the admin portal using your administration account. Or if you're a developer account, you'd obviously probably you would not probably use a global administration account. You'd probably use something that is your username. To do that, if we know that the person requesting the permissions is a content editor, so let's have a look at that person's role. Edit the content editor role, and usually for all the permission related issues, you would click on the permissions tab. Not sure if you can see this, but if you click on the permissions tab and choose the module and select the module from the drop down, that's where you would select your permissions form. But in this case, because it's sort of a UI thing, we'll click on UI personalization and then we'll click on editor. This brings up with a what you see is what you get editor and a whole bunch of things that you can enable or disable for that particular person or for that particular role. And so in this case, styles is where all the headings, or the styles for the headings are contained. So you want to check this box and also just hit the save button. The user can then refresh their page. So this is back to Andrew Jones. Click on the About Us, we were on the home page. So click on the home page, click on the content, and you can see that there's now this drop down available with some additional heading settings. So that's that we have just resolved. This request. So that was pretty simple. So just a quick recap: to give the edit access, the content edit access, some styles, some headings, you'd go to that particular role, and in the editor menu you would really check what are the boxes the person wants. In this case, it was just one box, which is the styles. Now the next requirement number 2, is that the person needs access, the content editor needs access to create and edit forms. So forms is something that the content editor might have to deal with. Now it depends on how what type of access you have historically given on your application. Obviously there's a review process that you need to go through, which is making sure, or which is just cross-checking before actually servicing the request, you need to cross-check that if the user really needs access to be able to create and edit forms. But if the person does, then let's just do it, so to give you a before the change idea of what it looks like. So if the person goes into forms, instantly I can see that the person cannot add a new form, right? So this button needs to be enabled. And of course, if you click on the form itself, and let's say if you want to go onto the form builder and add a few things, once it loads, so you cannot, so these things are sort of it's sort of disabled, so it just allowed you, visually it allowed you, but it just still says that the access is denied. So we want the user to be able to do that, and to allow them to do that. What we'll do is we'll usually go back to roles, click the edit icon to edit the content editor role, and this time, because it's not really UI personalization, it's really the module that we need to update, we'll click on permissions, and from modules we will from the list of modules here we will search for forms. After selecting forms, this screen has refreshed, and we can see that there's read form that is available, there's edit data, there's read data, but you can't create a form, you can't edit a form. So since the person has asked that, we'll do just that. We'll click on these checkboxes. So the person should now be able to create a form and edit a form. And in fact, because we're doing this at a role level, just want to sort of reiterate that every other user who has content edit access will also be able to create a form and edit a form. Alright, so we'll just get a quick refresh. Now we have switched back to Andrew's role. We'll search for forms, and now we can see that we have a new form button available. So it's enabled, not disabled anymore. And if we need to add something, let's see if we can do that. There you go. So the changes are saved successfully. That means we were able to edit the form as well. Now, so just like that, we were able to service the second request of providing the content editor with access to create and edit a form. Now the third scenario is that the content editor needs to add polls to the website. But when the content editor searches for polls, the person finds no option available. Now polls is a functionality that's available from Kentico, and so obviously the content editor just needs to work with that. And so to do that, we will again go back to roles, and we will edit the content editor, and we will go back to permissions. And you would have guessed, if you would have guessed what we're going to do next, then it's probably right. We are going to look at modules, and instead of forms, now we're going to search for polls, and we see polls, and now in this case nothing was available to the user. So there was absolutely no permissions available, right? That's why the user could not actually see anything. So let's just give a read and modify access to the user for polls. So all the content editors will get read and write access to polls, right? Now, just like forms, you would have imagined that we did just that, and we'll just go back to Andrew's account here, refresh the page, click on the menu, and search for forms. Oh, sorry, polls. We did that, but there's no matching application found. So we did exactly the same steps that we did for forms, Of course, in that case, the some parts of the module were already activated, but you would imagine that that's exactly the steps that you would need to do. So what is missing? Now, what we did, um, and if you really want to pause this video and think on it for a moment, please feel free to do so. What we did with forms was the user already had access to forms from this menu, but we just had a few permissions that needed to be added, and that's exactly what we did for polls. We gave them permissions, but the actual menu item of polls is not available in the list of applications for the user. And so that's the only thing that we were missing. To do that, because it's not a permission issue anymore, it is really a personalization issue. We click on UI personalizations, but this time the issue is not with the editor, it is with the administration portal itself, right? So the UI personalization on the administration portal itself. So let's click on that, and you can see this little tree hierarchy sort of situation going on here. You have administration, you have content management, online marketing, all these little tabs, which usually match with this. So you have content CMS, and then you have content management, and in that you have all these other stuff that's going on. Now, to give access to polls, you would try and search for polls, which is under content management, and you would see that polls is actually disabled. So to give access to polls, you would just click on that, and obviously the subpages that's under that has also been checked. Now you can decide, depending on how the user actually wants it, you can decide to you can decide to go into the details of each and every of these page, and at a granular level decide to uncheck certain things, right? So you can, if you want, you can decide to do that, but otherwise let's go save it and inform our user that access has been given, and that Andrew can now look at polls. So Andrew goes into the list of application, searches for polls, and finds polls. Obviously there's no polls that is set up on the site currently, so Andrew would need to set up a new poll and take it from there. But in terms of giving access, we serviced this request as well. So service request number 3 is being complete. Now the fourth scenario is that the user, which is our content editor, Andrew, needs access to update banners. And if you're not familiar with it, banners comes under the online marketing section of the CMS portal. And so for some reason Andrew decided that Andrew needs access to, or content editors need access to banners, to update banners. And if you go onto the existing site and search for banners, nothing appears. In fact, online marketing, that section itself does not appear, right? It's only the content marketers that have access to that feature. But let's say if you do want to give them access, you would go back to your global administrator or your developer account, click on roles, click on the content editor role, and this time you would not go to permissions, right? This time now you know that what they require is the access to the list of applications. So instead of going to permissions, we will go to UI personalizations, click on the administration menu, because this is a link that needs to be given on the CMS portal, and expand these tabs a bit, and you can see that there's online marketing. There's things under this that are being enabled. So banners is actually enabled, and of course a few other things are not, but the parent page is not enabled, right? So let's check that box. Obviously if banners wasn't enabled as well in your application, in your real life situation, then obviously you would want to update that and check all these boxes. Oh, there's a lot of boxes here to check. So let's check all these boxes. Oh, that's just going into an endless loop right now. So you check all these boxes, give them access to banners. Hopefully you can save this changes, and get Andrew to refresh the page. Now when Andrew goes into the application tab, he instantly sees that there's an online marketing section available, and under that you have banners and email marketing. And of course, email marketing, the only reason email marketing has come up is because it must have been enabled as well. So yeah, there you go. Email marketing has been enabled as well by default, and that's the only reason it has showed up. But most importantly, the menu item banners has showed up here, and Andrew or the content, any of the other content editors have access to create a new banner category or edit the current banners. And just like that, we have completed service request number 4 as well. Scenario number 4 complete. Andrew now has, or the content editors now have access to updating banners. Now, hopefully these 4 scenarios were useful to you, and you sort of got an idea of where to really look for when you need to update permissions or give access to certain users or roles. And of course, we can't go to almost every other scenario that you might end up coming across in your day-to-day working environment. But hopefully, these 4 scenarios really gave you some sort of an idea. I would suggest if you really require, if there's a person who's really in between two roles, and sort of needs access to a little bit of this and a little bit of that, I would suggest creating a new role in Kentico and then assigning that person. So you've just learned how to do that. So assigning that role those custom features that the person needs, and then assigning the person to that particular role, right? So that should help rather than editing the existing roles which most users might already be assigned to, and they don't really need these custom features. So that is a quick suggestion right there. But of course, if you have any questions around this video, around the topic, or if you just have any comments, please feel free to post it in the comments of this video below, and I will try and answer as many questions as I can. Like with any other YouTube video, you know the drill. Hit the subscribe button. What this will do is it will show up more of my videos into your YouTube feed. More videos when I post them on my channel. And of course, if you have found this insightful, found this video useful, hit the like button to let me know that you've actually liked this video, and share it with your friends and family in your network. Thank you for watching this video. Take care. Bye bye.